We're going to help people with understanding linking structure and site architecture and taxonomy, because this whole thing about how you should link the pages together on your website, I think, is a complicated problem.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Interlinking is severely underrated.
Yeah, that's right, and it makes a huge difference to the to the type of ranking that you're going to get, and it's very easy to get it right, and it's very easy to get it wrong.
Right.
So, and of course, it's pretty tightly linked with your keyword research as well.
Absolutely.
Another hot topic. So, I really want to spend a little bit of time and focus on this, and I think if we could gain your wisdom and walk through some examples of the kind of sites that people typically have and how they should be linking the pages together.
Absolutely.
All right. Why don't we start out? Let's have a really simple example.
Yep, so the landing page on a home page, or on a 5-page site, is, like you said, going to be the home page. So there's only going to be that, it's not a big site, it's not a very deep site. We'd say it's shallow in terms of information architecture. So the landing page is most likely going to be the home page or one of the 5 or 6 pages. So I think we'll start with that, like a local page. So as you mentioned, you're going to start with your keyword research. You're going to do a little competitive intelligence, and then it's going to lead to this next. Once you have all these keywords, you're going to start putting them in buckets. Okay. And these are the buckets that you're going to start putting your keywords in. So I think for purposes of this, we'll start with a really easy site that has just 5 pages, a local law firm, I think is what we came up with.
Right.
So we'll say a New York City law firm, a Manhattan law firm, is going to probably just have a 5 or 10 page website. They're going to have their different types of law that they're practicing. So if they're doing civil law, they're going to have one for civil law. They're going to have criminal law. They may have, what other types of law do we have? Patent law, let's say. So the different types of law they may have, and then at the home page they're probably going to focus on the geo-targeted area. So at this level they're going to focus on New York or Brooklyn or Manhattan lawyer or law firm.
Right.
So the keywords are not going to be that broad. They're going to have maybe 10 keywords here that they're really going to focus on.
Right.
They can build it out from there, but for all intensive purposes, generally a 1 or 2 person law firm is just going to have a 10-page site at most.
Yep.
So they're going to have 10 keywords that maybe they can shoot for and 10 pages. So it's not going to be a very deep site, so it's a good one to start with as an example for kind of a shallower site.
Okay. So we build these pages. Each page is on a particular topic, and we have then a home page with some sort of generic information, including the geography and so on. My guess is that we're just going to link from the home page to each one of the topic pages using the topic in the anchor text.
Absolutely. And it's so simple, but it so often gets overlooked.
Right.
So especially with image-based navigation, or if you're trying to keep it clean in one word, so instead of saying civil law, you might just say civil. You might say criminal. You might say patent instead of saying patent law. Now, one thing you can do is with the images, use the alt text in the images, or go down in the footer of the page and say the full thing: civil law, patent law, or patent lawyers, or you can branch those, or you can expand upon those keywords at that level.
Right. So this is, I think everybody that knows about using anchor text understands this, and it's no big deal. We just link to the pages, and from the home page, we're in good shape.
Sure.
The magic question, which confuses everybody, is what do you do about linking back from the topic pages
to the home page?
Yeah.
Okay. So even within the topic pages, some of the topics might carry over, so you can interlink the topic pages even a little bit. But linking back up to the home page, you're probably going to want to use a little bit of anchor text in there. You don't want to get carried away. This came up in one of the sessions we did, building search engine friendly sites, which is almost exactly what we're doing here.
Right.
So I like to do it in the home. If I say home and I'm a lawyer, I like to say Bronx law firm home or something like that.
Okay.
So you don't want to get too carried away with 10 or 15 words, but at the same time you can get a few anchor text words. Or another good way again to do it is in the logo. So you have the logo of the site that's on every single page. To link back up for purposes. For the user, all you need to use is home. you just say home and the user links on it, but home doesn't really help you in any way for search.
Right.
So you want your anchor text keywords in there, and that's where you use the alt text for the image or footer links.
Right, and in that you would, that particular link, you would reference back the types of terms which you're wanting to optimize for on the homepage, which would include the geographic region in this particular case.
And I wouldn't get too carried away with the anchor text linking back to the homepage with a lot of different, because then it starts to become a usability issue.
Yeah.
But more in the footer links, in the places that are out of the way for the user is kind of where you want to try to get that in, and you want to get that fine line of usability and SEO. So
yeah, understood. Okay, so you said something in there that also I think is interesting. The degree to which you want to link from topic page to topic page, is that something that you should strive for?
Depending on how closely related they are. So if let's say they're doing patent law, and they also have a trademark law section, there's some basic carryovers there where they might be talking about patent law, and then within the anchor or within the body copy is going to be ultimately the best way to link back and forth.
Okay.
So the body copy links internally are always going to be more valuable than the navigation links, which is an important point to make. The sidebar or the top navigation that's on every page is not going to be quite as valuable in describing the page as what's within the body of the page.
Okay, I think actually that's a really important point, that it is, maybe people don't quickly understand. It's quite a difficult concept, but the search engines have become quite good at working out on a given page what's nav and what's body.
Right.
Even though it's all just this block of HTML.
Yep, and that's the perfect word. The concept for it is block level analysis. So they say, here's the block of navigation, here's the block of top level navigation, here's the real meat of the site. And they strip this out and they say, okay, here's what's really important. We're going to give more weight to this body by way of this block level analysis of the page.
Okay. Okay. So the linking that you might want to do between topic pages, basically, you don't want to link from this topic page to these four. But if there is something that you can put from an editorial point of view in the copy that makes sense, why not link to it?
Right, especially on a smaller site like this, there's going to be interlinking within the body copy. If there's some place to link from the navigation, that's when we start getting into the deeper areas of the site. If you can get 3 categories and then 3 categories at the top level and stuff that should go below that, then you start building out to this next level that we'll discuss for the next example.
Okay, cool. So, very simple example, great place to start. Next example.
Yes.
I think a common one is
blogs. The greatest thing, WordPress is about the greatest thing to happen to SEO because they almost did all this work for you on the back end. WordPress really gave us all these great tools in terms of mod rewrite and pretty URLs and all kinds of other stuff that are great for URLs. And the other thing they did really well was introduce categories. You had to use categories, otherwise you ended up all in the general category. And then you ended up with 50 posts in the general category versus building out a couple posts in each subcategory.
Right.
So a blog gives us a good example of categories and subcategories. So I was thinking a nationwide law firm that decides to go and blog for exposure, decides to talk about the industry news, decides to talk about different types of laws, and then subcategories of that, or maybe they have 5 or 6 writers on it. So they're doing a fair amount of content where they're going to build out, 100 pages a month or something like that.
Okay.
At that point, the information architecture becomes even increasingly more important because there's more content that's going to be on the site, more content battling for that link juice to be the most important page on the site, to be at least seen at the higher level of the site.
Right, okay. And I think also that this example site is sufficiently complex that that in the search engine results, although it is possible that somebody will come into the home page of the blog, it seems likely that they're going to come in on one of these other pages as well.
It's very likely that they can come in on a subcategory.
Yeah, whereas I think in the previous example that was a low probability. They probably would come in on the home page.
Right.
It's so simple.
Based on the content and the inbound linking, the link equity of the site and the overall volume of content. That's what's really going to decide that.
Okay, so what we've got a home page of the site. Here we've got these are category pages.
Right.
So these are going to be the category pages that link to each individual post, and then each individual post is in brown. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, cool. So How do we do it? What do we link?
Okay, so we start up here with lawfirmbloggers.com or whatever we are.
Right.
We're law bloggers, so there's 10 law bloggers. They're blogging every day. Each one decides to write an article on whatever. We have a trademark attorney that decides, I'm going to write about trademark.
Okay.
So we'll have the trademark category, and then we'll have the the criminal category. So then within the criminal category, that's still pretty broad if you're talking every day and there's one guy that's blogging, 3 or 4 articles a week. There's criminal law as a whole entity upon itself.
Right.
So then we start building into this next level of criminal law. We have maybe theft, or we have DUI, or we have whatever different crimes, and it might be able to get broke down by crime or by crime type at that level.
Okay.
And there's a multitude of ways you can break down this structure, and ultimately what it is deciding ahead of time what your content is going to be about and being structured about your content creation.
Okay. All right. So in this hierarchy, where do the individual posts of the blog sit?
Sure. So we're going to have the categories. We can potentially have subcategories that are just kind of headers as well.
Okay.
And those are they're static pages, or they can be static pages that then, and another important note to make is on blogs, you really want to use just snippets, because otherwise the blog software creates multiple versions of the page, and you have kind of keyword cannibalization, because you'll have a whole entire post at this level, and then actually at the post level as well.
Right, okay.
So that's what you really want to avoid. And another thing with blogs is the timely nature of them. When they're launched, they're going to rank higher because they're near the top of the information architecture, because it's date-based.
Right.
So it's time-based. As you post more stuff on top of it, it's pushing everything down. So a post from 2005 is never going to rank as well, because it's always going to be further down the site architecture based on the fact that they're organized by time.
Got it. Okay. So an individual post, in this example, probably lives at this level or one level below?
Yeah, it's actually going to be, it will be at this level and below, and it'll be at this level and below.
Got it.
So it'll be linked from both of those. And then linking back up, as you were saying earlier, once we get into this type of a deeper architecture, more deeper down, not quite so shallow as the first example, breadcrumbs back up is really important.
Okay.
So saying, and a breadcrumb is basically just saying you are here in the site. So you're saying we're at the theft criminal law level, so the breadcrumb would read homepage, and then criminal law, and then theft, and then post name. So post name wouldn't be a link, but criminal law or theft would be, and then criminal law would be, and then home would be.
Okay.
So that would be how you'd link back up the site.
Okay. So the linking structure that we would want to use here, it's actually a pretty complicated example. So we're probably going to link from the home page to each fundamental subject.
Yes.
Right? And of course, in the case of WordPress, that's typically done for you anyway, because your categories are part of the right nav.
Yeah.
So we're going to have in the right nav, we're going to link to each one of these like so. Right?
Yep.
Now, what about then individual posts or subcategories?
So originally they're going to show up on the homepage.
Right.
For the first 10, let's say, or 20, you can set it at whatever you'd like. Now for the subcategories, that's a decision to be made. Depending on how deep the content, or how vast the content of the site is going to be. If we have 2 bloggers or we have 10 bloggers, we know we're going to have a certain content volume. If we have higher content volume and more link equity, then we can start affording to put this on the homepage as well. If it's maybe 3 bloggers and we're not going quite so deep, we may just want to put this on the homepage and then these on this page. If the content is really vast and we want to make sure that everything gets indexed, let's say, for lack of a better term, PageRank 6 and above. Right. PageRank 6 and 7, they're higher link equity, they're more likely to get spidered more often, more of the content's going to be in the index and rank better. Then we can start putting this on the homepage. So these categories, we would normally just have these categories on the homepage, and then in order to find these, you would have to drill down. But if we have a lot of link equity, we can start drilling right down into these right away. We can have more links on the homepage. So we can have the categories and the subcategories all listed out on the homepage.
And the link equity that you're measuring there basically is whether the inbound links are pointing at this level or this level.
Really just inbound links to the entire site.
Okay, to the entire site.
So entire site link equity. Let's say at if you have 1,000 links or less, you don't want to have more than 10 or 15 links off your homepage because you're not going to be able to rank everything.
Right.
And if you distribute everything, you're going to have really low page rank or really low link equity pages all the way around. Whereas if you only link to 5 of them, at least those 5 are going to be pretty strong.
Right.
Even if you have a low link equity for the entire domain.
Right.
So I guess a better term than link equity would be domain popularity or domain link equity.
Right. Okay.
Global link popularity.
Right.
Like
And this, of course, is the trade-off that you need to make as to whether your blog has got lots of posts or a small number of posts.
Right.
If you've got a small number of posts, it's pretty straightforward with lots of posts, lots of topics.
Yep. And that applies to all sites, whether it's blogs or anything. The amount of content, how deep that goes, and really how well it's linked is going to make an impact on these decisions.
Right. So, so we would want to. We're going to link from the homepage to the top-level categories. We may link to some of these other sub-category topics if they seem important enough.
Right.
And what about then the linking between and at this level and back up?
Yep. Body copy all the time.
Okay.
Whenever possible, body copy. So if somebody's writing, especially with a blog, that's the great thing about a blog. Whenever you're writing a blog, you should always reference old posts. So you should always reference, and for more reasons than just this, for scrapers, for RSS aggregators, you always want to be linking back to your site.
Okay.
And that's a great way to do it. So, and then also in terms of this, it's phenomenal. So linking back to older posts, I always try to do at least 2 or 3 posts, reference old posts. That sort of thing.
Okay.
Within the body copy.
Yeah. So really the linking that you're going to do as part of the nav, which actually in the case of WordPress you kind of get that for free actually,
Right.
but the linking that you're going to do in the nav is almost irrelevant. It only has value if it's in the body copy.
And I think it'll still have value. It'll have more value in the body copy. With WordPress, the default is probably going to be that the subcategories are going to show up on every page. So, but if it's a shallow site, and there's not a lot of, there's only 100 posts there, but you do decide I need a couple subcategories, and I don't quite want to make them main categories. You may want to work with that a little bit and take the subcategories out and move that widget within WordPress around and make it so these only show up at the subject level.
Right.
So that would be a little
Okay.
bit of customization on the WordPress side.
Okay. Interesting. So let's now explore a very common example, e-commerce sites. And I've mapped this out. I think this is a reasonable example of a simple e-commerce site. Homepage, product categories, and then products.
Yep.
Yeah?
And this would be more, like we were saying, the brainwave model versus Amazon. Amazon's certainly going to have category, subcategory. For simplicity purposes, we'll keep it to just category and product level.
Right, okay. It's definitely true in this kind of example that the searcher is going to come in on, they're more likely, in fact, probably to come in on the category page and the product page on the search results than they are on the home page.
Absolutely.
And I want to explore a little bit how that might impact the type of linking that you use so that you make sure that people come in on these pages as opposed to this page. Right. Basically, that you don't want to over-optimize this page.
You really don't want this ranking for your product name.
Yeah, exactly.
Or even for your categories. You want them dropping into right where they are, because otherwise they're lost. They come in and they go, well, I came in for educational toys, but there's nothing about this on the homepage.
Yeah.
Or I came in for scientific toys. It's probably a better example.
Yeah.
But this page is all about educational toys. I don't see anything about science toys, so I'm going to just hit the back button.
Yeah. So you've got to really focus on that and make that part of your linking strategy.
And ultimately, that the page that's most relevant for that term is what should come up.
Yeah.
The thought.
Yeah. There you go. Okay. So I'm going to guess that we just from the homepage we're going to link to the product category pages.
Yes.
Because from the human being's point of view, they expect to see that.
Yes.
Right. Okay. So we link to the category. Now, should we from the homepage link to some products?
Absolutely. So something that often gets overlooked, top sellers. With any e-commerce store, 80% of the sales are probably coming from 20% of the products.
Right.
So those 20% of the products are what you want to be most competitive for in the search results. So if I say I want these 20 products to be what I rank for, and these other 80 products, it's great if I sell them, and I'll sell them from the site, and if I rank for them, great. But these 20 products is where I make my money. You want these to appear to the search engine as more important than the 80 that you don't sell as many of. And it starts becoming a self-fulfilling prophecy, obviously, of the stuff that you rank best for, you're going to sell more of. but you also know your industry to know what's selling best.
Right.
So the really hot products, you want to link in anchor text from your homepage, because instead of being 2 levels deep now, it's really appearing to the search engines at this level. To the users, it still appears under the category or subcategory, but to the search engine, it appears one step below the homepage.
Okay.
So that's where we get that difference between the information architecture for the user and the information architecture for the search engines.
Right, okay. So we link to them. From the homepage, would we, going back to the topic of what you link to in navigation structure versus the body copy, would it be worth in the body copy of the homepage, linking to a few of your top sellers?
Definitely.
Okay, and you just write some copy that looks reasonable that says, here are our top sellers.
Yep, absolutely. And even going one step further than that, the really top sellers, you might want those linked from every page, because then they become really the most linked pages of the site.
Okay.
And by being the most linked page of the site, they're seen as the most important by the search engines.
Okay, so let's explore that. So you're suggesting that a particular page that represents a very popular product, we could, if we were to link to that from lots and lots of pages within the site, we sort of focus our link value, link use onto that particular page. I assume that your previous statement still holds true, that if we do the linking from the body copy on the pages rather than the nav, we get more strength.
Yes.
Which may be more difficult to do.
There's still plenty of equity to be had from the navigation, excuse me. So there's still plenty to be had there from the navigation. So that's not to say, disband the navigation and don't do it there. It's just saying that if you have words around it, the body copy is going to be the most valuable links.
Okay, all right. So when we link from the home page to these pages, that's all straightforward. What about from the categories of the product? I assume there that we just end up, it's like a directory listing. You sort of got to link to everything.
Yes, I would say you really have to list all the products within the category. Now that being said, we were talking earlier about Tedster's term. French fry pages. I love the term French fry pages, and what a French fry page is really is a product that people probably aren't going to come into the site for. And where the term French fry page comes from is, would you like some fries with that? So you have your hamburger here. Nobody's going to search for fries on a search engine, we'll just say. And I'll give a better example in a second. But we're just saying, would you like some fries with that? The search engines are nobody's going to come through a search for fries.
Right.
Just as the example. And so that's where the term French fry page comes from. A real world example would be something like cell phones. If we're selling cell phones at this level, people are very, very unlikely to search for, a BlackBerry certain kind of cover. And if they do, they're probably searching for BlackBerry cover, so you have one term where you might have 20 variations of that product. You might have a black one, a blue one, a red one, a green one, a polka dotted one, and you don't want all of those in the search engine index.
Okay.
Because those are really diluting your link popularity. If you have your BlackBerries, and then after your BlackBerries you're linking to all those 10 BlackBerry covers, all of a sudden you have 10 more pages that don't really necessarily need to be in there. So we call those the French fry pages because we don't want those getting indexed by the search engines. And the solution to that is, even though they're linked from these pages, we would put those in a folder. You could no-follow them is the easy way to do it, but I don't suggest, I'll stay off my no-follow rant for today.
Okay.
I think there's another video. I have my no-follow rant in there now, so you can direct them over to that one and hear me rant about no-follow. But the better solution is to put it in a robots.txt category or folder. So we would say site.com/BlackBerry or site.com/noindex/BlackBerry/ whatever it is. And then we would no-index, or we would robots.txt that no-index folder.
So I want to explore this a little bit. I mean, I think this is a complex topic. Why is it that if you have this these additional low-value pages, surely those pages could themselves be linking to something else on the site that would help the site in other ways? Are you suggesting that you lose more than you gain?
Yes. Yes.
And what do you lose?
The bigger the site gets, the less link value each one gets. So there's only X percentage of link juice to go around the site. If you have 100 pages, that flows to the 100 pages. If you have that same link juice and all of a sudden you have 150 pages, you just and those 50 pages are of low value from an external search perspective.
Okay.
From the fact that people are going to find those 50 pages through Google, through Yahoo, through whatever. Those pages don't need to be in the index, and they're hurting your site more than they're helping your site. It's kind of an overall site quality score, I guess, for another ambiguous carryover to paid search there.
Right. Okay.
But it is kind of a quality score based on the ratio of quality within the index, or within your Google index, or within your Yahoo index.
So even though these pages might be talking about sort of a tangentially related topic like cell phone covers,
right,
they devalue the possibility of cell phone.
Only if there's very low content there, very minimal, low value content.
Okay.
So with the cell phone cover, it might be good to have one cell phone cover page in there, but to have a red page, a blue page, a green page, those are very low value. So if they're all listed on one page, that's absolutely fine. And these are decisions you have to make. How much overlap is there? How much value is there having this in the search index?
Right.
So
okay.
in terms of colors, in terms of sizes, if you have extra pages, if you're not doing that in JavaScript or something like that, if you're creating an extra page, those shouldn't be in the index.
Right. Okay. Okay. That's very interesting. So now, what about linking across the products? You know, so linking from a product page to a product page, right? Is there value in doing that? And again, in the nav structure, in the body.
Right. So a good example is you bought a shirt. You might want some pants with that,
right?
Or you might want, and certainly from a usability perspective, that's phenomenal. And from a search perspective, it's great too, because pants are related to shirts, and by having, you know, body copy and script, any kind of content that's related is going to help out. So
right.
It is worthwhile in ranking. So.
Right. Yeah. Would you like pants with that? So.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
So, of course, I'd like that.
So we want to link across the product pages where it makes sense to the user. Linking backward, just as far as the breadcrumb goes. We don't need to do anything more.
Breadcrumbs almost solve all that problem all the time.
Right, okay.
Because it's usability and you get the anchor text in there. And if you can code it so that your breadcrumbs are separate, the anchor text for your breadcrumbs is different than your H1 in your title, even better.
Okay.
If you have your CMS or whatever it is, WordPress, to customize those breadcrumbs to get a couple extra keywords in that anchor text.
Let's just throw a complication into the works, and we're going to explore this a little bit more because you know, it is, I think, is a very interesting problem. What have you got a tag cloud?
Yes. Wow, what a mess.
Yeah, I know. No, so because the tag cloud sort of introduces this additional cog into the machine that you really don't have much control over.
Right. So tag clouds are great and they're terrible all at the same time. So they can be great. The difficulty is it introduces so many more pages, and if you don't have the link equity to back that up, you have all these pages, and then your important pages may be cannibalized because you're not getting to the important pages because you're getting all these tag cloud pages.
Right.
So one way to go is user-based, or tag clouds just for the user and robots.txt and block all those tags. So that's one way to go, is just use tags just for the users. The other way to go is to say, okay, we're going to do tags all over the place, and we're going to try to rank for these, knowing that we either need more link equity in order to promote those, or that we're not going to be able to go after really high competition terms, but we can go after a lot of tagged lower competition terms.
Okay.
So tags are great for the lower competitive stuff because you can hit a lot of stuff really easily. But at the same time, it's diluting your link popularity because you're adding a whole bunch of pages. And how you're adding a whole bunch of pages is on every post, we may tag the post Market Motive, John Marshall, Todd Malakote, information architecture. We can tag it 5 or 6 or 10 different ways. And if we tag it with 10 different things, we're going to have site.com/tag/John Marshall, have site.com/tag/Todd Malakote, and we're going to create 10 pages that are all the same.
Right.
So it creates a whole lot of duplicate content, a whole lot of duplicate content problems, but you have 10 pages with the potential to rank. So it's how they handle duplicate content that can be good and it can be bad, because there's more area to do on-page optimization with the titles, and you have more anchor text from the tags, but you also have 10 pages of nearly duplicate content.
Right. Okay. So really, the problem with the tag cloud is the duplicate content, which you don't really control.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. And you think that problem could be so severe that it might be worth just cutting the tag cloud out with robots.txt or no index or something like that.
Yeah, depending on what your goal there is. If you want to go after a lot of low competition stuff, tag stuff is probably good for launching sites. So if you have a little bit of content, it makes it look like a whole lot more content. But then the trouble there is getting that content, or slimming it back down. I would probably go the route of disallowing that, but I'm sure there's people that have had a lot of success with tags. So
yeah,
it's
interesting. Okay.
I don't have a great clear-cut answer on that one. I'd say a case-by-case basis of what is trying to be accomplished.
Yeah, okay, interesting. All right, so let's
another point worth making is tags are great for internal search functions, so it is a great user thing, and that's where you can just block it and say, okay, we don't need it from an external search perspective. We don't need to be creating all these pages because it is duplicate content, but it's a great way for users to find information that they're looking for within the site.
Yeah, I mean, I think that personally, I think the tag clouds work incredibly well, and that they're often a very good way for the users to quickly work out what is this website all about. If you just look at the tag cloud, you get a really good feeling for what is the universe of stuff being discussed.
Yeah.
But not necessarily good for robots. So Todd, great info, and what are the key takeaway points for people who are thinking about linking structure? What are the most important points?
Absolutely. Breadcrumbs, like I said, being different than title and H1 if possible. Linking back up, using your image alt text for your home page, or for the home image logo, using the alt text in that and getting a couple keywords in there. Footer links are all going to be important, but linking back up and linking to related areas is going to be the really important part.
And that linking is more valuable in the body than if it's in the nav structure.
Yes.
So that basically implies that this is difficult to automate. It sort of requires editorial input to create this linking.
Yeah, there's a few WordPress plugins, so WordPress is about the only one that you can do it, and there's custom scripts and that sort of thing, but for the most part you're probably going to end up doing it manually.
Yeah, okay, interesting. Well, thank you.
And it'll come out better that way.